Senator from Alabama.
Madam President, reserving the right to object. Last night I spoke on the phone with Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. I also spoke with him last Thursday. Both conversations were very cordial. We had a good conversation, respectful, but they were very brief. There were absolutely no offer. There was no offer of a compromise. It's their way or the highway. Thus far, the Pentagon has done nothing but attack me. And I keep repeating the same claims over and over. Since I spoke with Secretary Austin on Thursday, a few things have changed. One is that the House of Representatives has now passed their annual defense bill. The bill contains an amendment that would explicitly repeal the memos which implemented the Pentagon's new abortion policy. It wasn't in the base text of the bill. It was added on the floor by the majority of the House members. The majority of the House of Representatives have spoken out in opposition to this policy. It was a bipartisan vote. Senator Bennett, Secretary Austin, and President Biden need to realize this. I am not alone. Our team is building and growing. 60% of the country is opposed to taxpayer funding for abortion. That includes Democrats, Republicans, and independents. 60%. The Pentagon's new abortion policy is even worse than that. It is a taxpayer-funded abortion that nobody, and I mean nobody, in the House or here voted for. And it gets worse. This morning, the Pentagon staff, who is in charge of putting this together, gave a briefing to the members of the Senate Armed Services Committee. To be honest with you, it was a complete debacle. I thought they would be prepared. The briefing confirmed a few things we know about this policy. First of all, there are virtually no restrictions at all on the use of this policy. None. The briefers confirmed that the policy could be used to facilitate a late-term abortion for enlisted members and their dependents. Pentagon officials confirmed that this policy would facilitate abortion up to the moment of birth, depending on the state. At the moment of birth. Late-term abortion is opposed. Madam President, late-term abortion is opposed by about 3/4 of the American people. To be clear, the DoD has the authority to perform abortions in cases of rape, incest, and life of the mother. That was passed on this floor in 1984. Now, what we're talking about with this new policy that no one in this building voted on is taxpayer funding for elective late-term abortion. This is radical, it's extreme, and it's downright wrong. Third, the briefers essentially confirmed that the policy was not based on facts. It was based on an extreme political ideology. I asked the briefers for evidence that abortion improves readiness. They should have seen this coming before they walked in the building this morning at 9 o'clock. They knew they were going to be asked this. I've been asking this question for a year. Pentagon officials still have absolutely no evidence whatsoever that it impedes readiness. When the administration was touting this policy, they said it could lead up to 4,000 taxpayer-funded abortions a year. Now, let me explain this. When I got a briefing last year from the Pentagon, we asked them, how many abortions is this going to consist of? Well, now we're doing 24 a year. When this policy is put into place, RAND, their polling group out of the Pentagon, said it will affect probably around 4,000. Now, this came from the Pentagon. This wasn't made up by my team or anybody else in my party. This came directly from the Pentagon. Now, I want to say this, 4,000, and that's not including dependents. Not including dependents, so you're looking at a lot more. Now they're backtracking and accuse me of inflating that number. Well, that's fine. They've got a short memory. That argument cuts both ways. Democrats need to explain why 2,000 abortions, if that's all it's going to be, 2,000 abortions are necessary for a military of 2 million people. They can't explain it because it has nothing to do with readiness. We're talking about elective abortions. We already had an abortion policy for rape, incest, and health of the mom. This policy was in no way affected by the Alabama law or any other state law. It's got nothing to do with the Dobbs decision. This is a taxpayer-funded abortion that nobody, and I mean nobody, voted for in this building or the other end of the building. Democrats say my hold is unprecedented. Well, I will say this, their abortion policy is unprecedented. We are here to make the law, not the Pentagon. Anyone who calls themselves pro-life needs to stand up and be counted right now. That's my party included. Democrats' media machine is throwing the kitchen sink at this hold. Doesn't bother me. I've been called everything anyway. It just makes me that much stronger to hear people complain about this, knowing that deep down, somewhere there's a soft part in their heart for 4,000 to 5,000 unborn babies that will never breathe life on this earth. So the more Joe Biden attacks me, the more I'm convinced that I'm doing the right thing. Seems like my colleagues on the left will do anything to change the subject and distract from this issue at hand. Recently, even the White House attacked my football record. My wife did the same thing at times. It's absolutely ridiculous, though, how this thing has gotten out of hand. There's been very little conversation, very little dialogue, and that's what this place is supposed to be about. The only dialogue we've had is Senator Bennett and several other senators coming in, and we've discussed this in a UC. But the people that change and have an opportunity to make a difference in this could sit down and talk. So I hate that we have to do this, but we're going to stick with it. So let's stick with the facts. And after today's briefing, it's clear to me that the Pentagon doesn't have any facts. So for that reason, Madam President, I object.
Object.